Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Cam coming at you on behalf of Index Card Insights and EpicConversions.com. I want to welcome you to another episode of Index Card Insights. Today, I want to talk to you guys about oversimplified advice. Before I get into this, I want to remind you, be sure to get over to EpicConversions.com. I got some cool free stuff over there. I got some cool paid stuff over there. If I don't have what you're looking for, email me, man. I'm at camjenningspro@gmail.com. Email me and ask me, what you're looking for. Tell me what you're looking for. Maybe I do have it. I just don't have it listed right now. I've been in business for a lot of years, so, there's a good chance I'll be able to help you in some way, shape, or form. So that's at epicconversions.com. Anyways, so today I want to talk about oversimplified advice. I've been thinking about this since yesterday, and I was running a sale yesterday, and I was talking to somebody about this. But in the process of doing all these other little business activities that I was doing, one thing I was thinking about was oversimplified advice. And I've been reflecting on oversimplified advice for a few weeks now. It's been like a reoccurring theme in my thought process. But, what I mean is simple aphorisms, platitudes, catchphrases, wisdom quotes, oversimplified advice, kind of 7 steps to the moon kind of thing, I know people don't know what I mean when I say 7 steps to the moon. I keep on telling the story. I took my kids to a museum several years ago, and there was this poster on the wall that was 7 steps to the moon, and it was this kind of cool little infographic of how we got to the moon. And it was 7 steps. It was very oversimplified. It took thousands and thousands of people, tons of technology advancements and inventions for us to get to the moon. So it was very oversimplified. But what I find is that there's a lot of oversimplification in online business too. People simple sells, you know what I mean? It's simple does sell. People want simple, they want easy, they want fast. So it doesn't really surprise me that simplified advice makes its way to people. But you have to understand, I guess at the heart of what I'm saying is that it's not always simple. Things aren't always simple. A lot of things that work really well are a little bit more complicated. And maybe that's okay to say, hey, this isn't really simple. I got to learn this little by little until I know what I'm doing. But while I'm learning it, I shouldn't expect to get great results because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You know what I mean? And that should sound right to all you guys. That should sound right. If it's really simple, then it would stand to reason that a bunch of people would do it, and then all of a sudden it's ruined and no one's making any money off of it anymore, right? That should stand to reason. And I think that makes sense to all you guys. I don't think you need me to explain that to you why that would be. But it doesn't really matter because, we are still in love with oversimplified advice, and sometimes it hurts us. I'll give you an example. This is one that has been coming out recently. Essentially, it's do more to get more. That's the simplified advice. Do more to get more. Alex Hormozy just came out with a really big training a couple days ago, and a lot of people are talking about it. And I think it's on a lot of people's minds. Well, do more to get more is kind of at the heart of some of that training. Is basically if you are under $1 million in sales, do more what you're already doing. This is very simplified advice. What if you're doing the wrong thing? What if you're making a little bit of money, but you're not really making a lot of money? And doing more is not going to get you where you want to go, I made the analogy with a friend of mine the other day, or yesterday. I was I was trying to explain my point of view on this. Let's say you're hitting a brick wall you know, and you're working under this like advice of do more to get more, right? And it's not like horrible advice. Sometimes you should be doing more to get more. I mean, if you're doing the right thing, it's a good thing to do more to get more. But let's just say you're hitting a brick wall, right? With your fist, right? You're trying to get through the brick wall, and you devise this plan to hit the brick wall 50 times a day. You think, man, if I hit this wall 50 times a day with my fist, eventually I'm going to grind down this brick wall, right? You take this advice under consideration, do more to get more. So, you know what? I'm going to up my output. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my 50 times a day because it doesn't seem to be working. I'm going to change it to hitting this brick wall 500 times a day. Well, you know and I know that, like, that sounds ridiculous. You know, you're just going to end up with a broken hand. That's what's going to happen. Your hand's not going to break through the wall. It doesn't matter if you hit it 50 times, 500 times, 5,000 times. You're going to wear your knuckles down. You're just going to wear your hand down, man. The brick wall's not going to go anywhere. So in that case, doing more to get more, it doesn't work if you're just doing more of the same thing, right? It's like, in that particular case, you need to like reevaluate what you're doing and do something different, right? Or do something else. So like that's an example where it's not so simple. It's not as simple as just doing more to get more. Oh, if you're under $1 million, just do more of what you're doing. Well, you know, it depends on what you're doing. You know, what if you're achieving a level of success that there's no way you're going to surpass by just doing more, right? Because that happens. It happens all the time. You know, we're going to come back to this do more to get more, okay? But another one I was thinking about, and I wrote these down, by the way. I did write these down, guys. This is Index Card Insights. We're going to have some manner of index card here. Anyways, another one. The customer's always right. You know, simple advice, you know, kind of an aphorism, kind of a, whatever you want to call it, catchphrase, wisdom quote. You know, whatever you want to call it, the customer's always right. You know, the thing is, the customer's not always right. Nobody's always right. We're all human beings, and human beings are not always right. The way I take that advice is that the customer's always right in the way that they can choose to go shop somewhere else, right? So that they have the purchasing power to walk away from you. So, like, to me, I interpret that as I need to make sure I'm giving the customer respect and dignity and treating them fairly. That doesn't mean I can't say no to them sometimes. Sometimes it's just got to be no, you know. But I think sometimes people interpret that little aphorism or that wisdom quote or whatever, the customer's always right. I think sometimes people interpret that literally. Right? But if you interpret that literally, you're going to get in trouble because the customer's not always right. You're going to get walked over by a bunch of customers. You know, it's not going to make sense. You're going to be doing bad business because of this rule of the customer's always right. Luckily, that's like a phrase that a lot of people have already realized they can't honor that one completely. You'll hear a lot of business people talking about like, you know, everyone's got to interpret it differently, but most people have figured out they just can't interpret it 100% literally. But not all of them are that easy, right? The customer's always right is like, it sounds good, but people don't interpret it literally because they've been burned and they know the customer can't always be right. But that first one I gave you, do more to get more, people will look at that. They don't really know business that well, and like, they want to latch onto it because it's a simple idea. Do more to get more. It's a simple idea. You know, it's like you ask someone how often they email their list, and they say, I email my list every day and I get paid every day. Right? That's a simple statement. It's a simple phrase. It's easy to latch on to that, and you want to like live by that, like it's some kind of rule or something, right? But it's oversimplified, you know. What works for that person might not work for you. There's a lot more that goes into like how you email your list, you know. How often are you getting in more leads to your list? How warm is your list? I'm not going to get into the specifics of email marketing and list building, but the point is this idea of you mail every day and you get paid every day, it's an oversimplified idea, right? And if you just try to live by that rule, that's not going to always serve you well. Sometimes it'll serve you well, sometimes it won't. Another one, this one's in direct violation of the one I gave you to begin with. Doing what got you here won't get you to the next level. Doing what got you to $100,000 a year isn't going to get you to $1 million a year. Now, you've probably heard that before if you've been running in business circles. What got you here is not going to get you to the next level. You've probably heard that before. The only problem with that one is it's in direct violation with do more to get more. If you're under $1 million a year, just do more of what you're already doing to get to over $1 million a year, right? That's in direct violation of what got you here won't get you to the next level. It's like, now you could interpret those little phrases in many different ways to where they're not in violation of each other, but at a basic level, they're in violation of each other. You can't do more of what you're already doing to get to the next level if what got you here won't get you to the next level. They don't go together, but they're both really nice little catchphrases that sound really good. And people want to oversimplify business advice, and they want to latch on to them because they're easy to understand. It's easy to understand, do more to get more. It's easy to understand, like, what got you here won't get you to the next level. That phrase, what got you here won't get you to the next level, that sounds like there's a missing piece of the puzzle that I'm not getting to get to the next level. So what is that going to make me do? That's going to make me seek out the knowledge, right? That's going to make me seek out the missing piece. It's almost like whoever gave that advice, what got you here won't get you to the next level. It's almost like whoever gave that advice was trying to sell you some kind of educational training. It's almost like that. But it's not nefarious. It's a simple piece of advice, and it doesn't always fit every scenario, Everybody's businesses are a little bit different. And even though a lot of them are similar, they're all a little bit different. And if you combine the fact that everyone has different personalities and different educational levels of where they're at, it's just not necessarily, it's not the best idea, to just take little phrases and bits of wisdom and stuff that sound good and just try to live by them. I don't really feel like business is always simple. I think business can be complicated sometimes. And to do it at a really high level, it definitely gets a little more complicated. And I don't think that you can run 6-figure and 7-figure businesses. I know you can't run 5-figure businesses just by, living by simple little catchphrases. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. And I think that, you shouldn't be afraid to try to dig a little deeper into these catchphrases. If you don't agree with them, don't agree with them. I think a lot of them have deeper levels of wisdom, like the customer is always right. I mean, I interpret that in a really weird, deep way, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm just going to say yes to everything the customer says. Do more to get more is something that I have written on my whiteboard behind my desk. It means something to me. It means something to me because sometimes I'm prone to like kicking back and not doing enough. So it's just a reminder, if I want to get more, I need to do more, right? But I already know what to do. I already have a viable product that sells. So for me, it makes sense to do more to get more. But for someone who is unproven, for someone who doesn't know if they got it quite right, do more to get more might not be the answer. The answer for them might be more adjustment, and then you could interpret it, do more to get more, like that includes adjustment. You could interpret it in a lot of different ways. That's another thing about these simple little catchphrases of advice. It's almost like my family and I, we were watching the Fantastic Mr. Fox last night. It's one of my favorite movies. I love this freaking movie, man. But Mr. Fox, he's got this little catchphrase. he like whistles, and he goes, he whistles, and then he's like, I can't whistle this morning, but he's got this dumb little catchphrase he does, and it's dumb, but it's funny and it's cool. It's cool, you know. Catchphrases are cool, you know. We like catchphrases; they sound cool. We also like simplified advice. We like because it's easy to latch onto and take advantage of. But you know, simplified advice can get you into trouble. You know, not everything. Not everything most things don't stay simple. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, a simple little catchphrase ain't gonna get you there. You know, you gotta develop your own rules and systems for your business, and it's usually doesn't run through little catchphrases. You can take some of those catchphrases and there's wisdom in them, but the wisdom can be interpreted in multiple different ways. I'm probably the only one I know who interprets the customer is always right the way I do. I don't know how many people see the contradiction between do more to get more and doing what got you here won't get you to the next level. But you don't have to look very far before you start coming up with contradictions in some of these aphorisms and some of these little wisdom quotes. You don't have to look very far before you start seeing them contradict each other. And that should not be an indication to you that they are wrong. It should be an indication to you that they are oversimplified. Life isn't simple, man. And business is an echo of life. You know, business is about persuasion. You know, with business, it's like, what are you in business to do? You're in business to make money. All right. Well, where do you get money? You get money from people. How do you can't get money from an AI. You can't get money from a robot. You got to get money from other people. So how do you get other people to give you money, right? There's got to be an element of persuasion to it. Yes, you provide value. Yes, you give them what they need or you give them what they want. You provide value and benefit. However, there's an element of persuasion to it, right? So at the end of the day, you know, business has a lot to do with persuasion. And you know, persuasion is a complex thing. It's not simple. There's a lot to it, man. When you deal with persuasion, you're dealing with like the human psyche. You're dealing with like how people think and what kind of moods they're in, and you know, it's just not simple, man. Trying to simplify everything is stupid, if you ask me. You know, not everything fits under one little umbrella. You know. That's why there's like so many different, you know, that's why there's so many different like ways to do copywriting. There's so many ways to do like product creation, and you'll see like multiple successful ways, right? How could there be multiple successful ways to solve one problem? It's only because, you know, like we're dealing in matters of persuasion, and the human mind is complex. It's sometimes it goes this way, sometimes it goes that way, and you never quite know how it's going to go. So when you start persuading like thousands and thousands of people to do something, you know, there's nothing simple about that. You know, I think it's fine to try to come up with rules for yourself, but to try to like just like live by these little platitudes and you know, catchphrases and like simple statements, wisdom quotes or whatever is, you know, it's folly, man. I mean, your business is not that simple. It's not going to be that simple. And if you're trying to like fit it into like some kind of little simple box that you understand, then you're making a mistake. It's far better to acknowledge the fact, you know, business is not always simple. I'm keeping mine simple right now because this is what I understand. But the more you understand, like the more you're going to grow it and expand it, and the less simple it's going to become to the outsider. I was just running a sale. I was running a sale a while back, and I was running a sale a few months ago, and, you know, this is an example. I was running a sale a few months ago, man, and I could not get people to take advantage of this sale, you know. And for 3 days, I couldn't get people to take advantage of this sale. I had very, very few sales for 3 days. And then, you know, I made an adjusted what I was doing, and boom, the sales started rolling in. And that was a situation where, like, doing more to get more would not have served me. If I would have looked at that few sales trickling in and I just would have started plastering my audience with more and more of the same message, it's like, oh, I'm not getting any sales. I need to do more to get more. I better just keep on going hardcore on the messages and just plowing them with more of the messages. That wouldn't have worked. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have worked. What I needed to do is, like, I needed to change my positioning, change what I was offering. I needed to change a few things to get that sale moving. And eventually I did get the sale moving. But, I was able to get the sale moving because I've been doing this for a long time. If I hadn't been doing this for a long time and I would have been following this do more to get more advice, I wouldn't have got that sale moving, man. It just would have puttered out, So, I don't know. I just think I've been thinking about that this morning. This idea of just, like, people latching on to really kind of simplified advice and, not considering the nuance to it. That's another thing, man. It's like nuance is a big deal. Like, when we're talking about persuasion, if we talk about business being about persuasion, then, you have to talk about nuance. Nuance has to enter the conversation. And that's not simple. There's nothing simple about nuance. Try explaining nuance to somebody, Try really explaining it, So, anyways, that's kind of what I was thinking about today. I'm just rambling on here, but I would just ask you to consider it, Consider this idea of oversimplified advice. When someone gives you a piece of oversimplified advice, think about how it might apply to your business, because maybe it doesn't apply directly to your business. Maybe it's a little too simplified for your business. Maybe, this idea of doing more to get more is an oversimplified piece of advice. It's not going to apply to everybody. Some people need to adjust what they're doing. You could make the argument, again, that, like, well, doing more to get more includes adjusting. You could argue that if you wanted to, but you're not saying that. Doing more to get more is an oversimplified piece of advice. It didn't say do more to get more and include adjusting. It didn't say that. It just said do more to get more. If you're under $1 million a year, do more of what you're already doing. That's oversimplified. What's going on? And, just continue your education, because the answer is not going to be in an oversimplified piece of advice. It's going to be in, reading books on scenarios, reading books on other people's lives, reading books on other people's business, listening to stuff like this podcast. Your education is going to come from the relentless pursuit of excellence. That's what it's going to come from. And it's not going to come from just simplified advice, oversimplified advice. So that's all I'd say. Listen, this is Cam. I'm from EpicConversions.com. Thanks for watching another episode of Index Card Insights. I got a free thing over there at EpicConversions.com, of course. Make sure you get over there and get your copy of it. And that's all I got. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace now.